So this is one of the priests who ends up teaching the Samaritans how to follow the Torah. Well, there are Samaritans there till this day. Now, in the story here in Kings, is it says in verse 28, it says, then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel and taught them how they should fear Jehovah. Howbeit, every nation made gods of their own and put them in the houses of the high places which the Samaritans had made. Every nation's in their cities wherein they dwelt. And the men of Babylon made Sukkot Benot. What's Sukkot Benot? That was the god they worshiped back in Babylon. Right. In other words, the early Samaritans did something the modern Samaritans say they don't do, and I believe them. Early Samaritans, what they did is they had two gods they worshiped. The god of the land, so the lions don't attack us, and their native god from back in their home country, where they came from. So Babylon, they made Sukkot Benot. The men of Cuth made Nergal, and the men of Hamath made Ashima. The Samaritans, in ancient times, he tells me, this Samaritan leader, Binyamin Tzedakah, he's a great scholar. He says that we never called God by his actual name, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Okay, I believe him. Why do I believe him? Because Josephus Flavius, the Jewish historian in the first century, confirms this. He actually confirms about how when this whole story of the Maccabees, which became Hanukkah, is the Jews were rebelling against the Greeks, the Seleucid Greeks. And so the Seleucid Greek governor started persecuting the Jews. And the Samaritans write to the governor and they say, why are we being persecuted? They send this to Antiochus. They say, why are we being persecuted? We're not even Jews. We're just foreigners in this land. Can I read you that? What Josephus writes?
Please do. I think this is very instructional.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're broadcasting to Bible students out there. So the more that you fill in,
you will find out really soon that this is key information.
Right.
Key information. Because where does Yahweh come from? Yahweh purportedly comes from the Samaritans. We'll find that out in a few minutes.
Okay.
If we get to it, hopefully, if we have time. This is Josephus Flavius, Antiquities of the Jews, written in the first century, Book 12, section 258. So they sent ambassadors, meaning the Samaritans sent ambassadors to Antiochus in an epistle whose contents are these. So we have a letter that the Samaritans sent sometime around 168 or 175 BC, sometime in that period, to Antiochus Epiphanes IV. And by the way, the Seleucid governor, or the Seleucid king, our emperor, his name was Antiochus Epiphanes. What does Epiphanes mean? It means the one who reveals himself. So he claimed to be a god, Antiochus. Right. So they write to Antiochus an epistle whose contents are these. To King Antiochus the god, Epiphanes, meaning the one who reveals himself. A memorial from the Sidonians who live at Shechem, meaning straight off they're saying we're actually not Israelites. We just live here. Our forefathers, upon certain frequent plagues, mentioned in 2 Kings 17, and as following a certain ancient superstition, had a custom of observing that day, which by the Jews is called the Sabbath. In other words, what they're saying is we only worship Shabbat because we were attacked by lions. And it was the Jewish superstition, and this isn't really something we believe in, we're just doing it. Now look, I'm not saying the Samaritans today believe this, but according to Josephus, this is a letter that was sent sometime around 168 BC. And when they had erected a temple at the mountain called Gerizim, though without a name, they offered upon it the proper sacrifices. What does that mean without a name? So what that means without a name is that it's not ignorance. It's actually very deliberate. The temple in Jerusalem is referred to as the place Jehovah chose to put his name. The place, it's also called the place Jehovah caused his name to dwell. And they're telling us around 168 or 175 BC, we have a temple, Gerizim, which follows the sacrifices of the Torah, but we don't call the name of the God of Israel upon this temple. Because it's not the place he put his name. They understood that. Give them some credit that they understood that.
Yeah.
Meaning they understood Jerusalem was the place where God put his name forever. Now, upon the just treatments of these wicked Jews, those that manage their affairs, supposing that we were of kin to them, in other words, your governor who thinks we're Jews, doesn't know the difference between Samaritans and Jews, and practice as they do, make us liable to the same accusations, although we are originally Sidonians, as is evident from the public records. I mean, you can check in your own records to see we're foreigners in the land of Israel. We don't come from here. We were brought from some other land. 2 Kings 17. Verse 261 in Josephus here. We therefore beseech thee, our benefactor and savior, referring to the king, to give order to Apollonius, the governor of this part of the country, and to Nicanor, the procurator of your affairs, to give us no disturbance, nor to lay our charge what the Jews are accused for, since we are aliens from their nation and from their customs, right? We're just doing the Sabbath and sacrifice thing because there was a superstition by our ancestors when we were attacked by lions, but we're not Israelites. And then they say, but let our temple, which at present has no name at all, be named the temple of Jupiter Hellenius. Whoa.
Wow.
So what are they doing here? They figure out, they're not stupid. They realize why the Jews are being persecuted. The king, and so remember what happened at Hanukkah with the Maccabees.
Yeah, they put the statue of Jupiter on the Temple Mount on Jupiter's birthday, December 25th, declaring Jupiter to be God.
Well, I mean, my understanding there is the focus was on Apollo, but in any event, what the Greeks are trying to
it's the same. It's
they
the same
mix all
name.
these things, right?
Yeah.
Well, so what they're doing back then. The Greeks wanted to wipe out the Jews, but not in the way that other people, not the way the Nazis wanted to wipe out the Jews. What the Nazis wanted to do is kill every last Jew. What the Greeks wanted to do is assimilate the Jews and make them Greeks.
Right.
And so they came along to the Jews and they said, look, stop your Shabbat, stop circumcising your children. You have these things that make you distinct from other nations. We just want you to be Greeks. We want you to be part of our empire. And how will we make you part of our empire? Everyone's the same. So why rebel? We're just all the same. Right? This is assimilation, radical assimilation, right? I mean, Jews came to America and we learned to speak English and we follow the laws and we're loyal to the country. We're assimilated in that sense, but we still maintain our own distinctiveness. We keep Shabbat, those who follow the Torah. Here they wanted to wipe out the faith of the Jews by making them become Greeks. And one of the things they said to them, one of the things we find and we talked about this in the Open Door series that we did together years ago. It's a wonderful series, 18 hours of teaching.
Yeah.
And in there,
tremendous. Everyone needs to get the Open Door series.
Absolutely. It's one, honestly, it's 9 hours of me teaching there, and it's 9 of the best hours of teaching I've ever done.